Hey, what's good, everybody? You're in for a great episode of We Gotta Talk with me, Coach Jay, aka Jordan Holbert. But before we get to today's episode, um, I do have to address what happened in Kansas City. It's late here, and I'm a little tired, so I might not get this all right and say this all how I want it to be said, but I feel like something needs to be said. Today's episode is all about gun violence, and as you may have heard and may be hearing for the first time, there was a mass shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade out in Kansas City. Um, and what a terrible thing to have such a celebration go so terribly awry. But what I don't want to have happen again, and what I think will happen again and continue to happen if people don't stand up and do something, finally, we're going to continue this cycle of thoughts and prayers. We've had thoughts and prayers for years. We've had thoughts and prayers for decades. We need thoughts, prayers, and we need action. We need bold, decisive, and immediate action on this issue of gun violence in America. It's as American as anything to have this type of violence, and it's time for healing, and it's time for hope, and it's time for a change. My heart is with everyone who was in Kansas City, had anyone who was a loved one who was hurt or harmed, the family that lost a loved one. We need more than thoughts and prayers for these people and for all the people that are suffering from gun violence. The rest of this episode will be a much more upbeat, more hopeful, and more cheery. So I hope that you continue to listen and find your own way to take action against some of the problems that you're seeing in your community. All right, let's get into it. Yo, what's good, everybody? Thanks for listening in to We Gotta Talk. This week's episode, we've got an incredible interview with one of my mentors, one of the most impactful people that I know that I've had the chance to meet and that has come into my life in the past year, Coach V, Valencia Peterson, the founder and creator of ODAAP. Wonderful person. I'm so excited for you all to be graced with her presence over the sound waves. And before that, we're going to be kicking off each episode with a new segment called Coach J's 2-Minute Drill. And this week, it's all about the Super Bowl, baby. Like, for real, this might have been possibly the greatest Super Bowl of all time. You had the dominant Kansas City Chiefs against the cursed San Francisco 49ers. Y'all did cap wrong. What's there not to love? You've got Patty Mahomes, the GOAT, Andy Reid, a GOAT, and Taylor's boyfriend, a GOAT, going up against the young legend, Mr. Irrelevant himself turned superstar, in Brock Purdy with his full arsenal of offensive weapons. Yo, and as a defensive coordinator, don't even get me started. Those defenses were fast, hard hitting, great tacklers, and able to cover everybody everywhere. It was amazing. First half, as a DC, man, I was loving it. Second half had me scratching my head a little bit. But we got overtime, the second overtime of all time. And did I mention Taylor was there? But for real, more importantly, Kylie was there. Shout out Kylie. So yeah, we had great defense in the first half, so much offense in the second half, and overtime. Like, couldn't have had it any better on the field. Then you throw in the halftime show. What? And that Usher halftime show, man, that is an instant top 10 of all time. And way to go, Usher had me doing the A town stomp. A. He brought out Alicia Keys. He brought out Lil Jon. He brought out Ludacris. He brought out Jermaine CeeLo Dupree. And that man had to try me in the Who Wore It Better. Yeah, he had to try me. I got him though. Of all the star power, one shine brighter, bolder, and more Beyonce than all the rest. I doubt the NFL scriptwriters had a surprise Beyonce country music drop on their bingo cards. Yo, just give her the album of the year right now. Let's go ahead and close it down. It's over. Just like today's 2-minute drill. Only feedback is NFL, do the smart thing, do the right thing. Move the Super Bowl back a week so that it's the week of the 3-day holiday so we ain't got to go to work on Monday. Come on now. That's it. All right. We're going to go ahead and get into today's episode of We Gotta Talk. Thank you for your time and your attention. Enjoy. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to We Gotta Talk. This is the podcast where hype isn't just a buzzword, it's a lifestyle. This is hosted by me, Jordan, aka Coach J. I'm a dedicated hype beast with a passion for the stories that make the culture tick. Each week, I'm going to dive inviting someone special from my vibrant circle to unpack the tales behind the trends of whatever it is they've got going on. This isn't your average chat about what's dropping in the world or what's happening on social media. We're here to dissect the journeys, the wins, the setbacks, and the relentless drive that fuels the movers and the shakers of our community. From artists to athletes, designers to entrepreneurs, I'm going to shine a spotlight on the excellence that surrounds us. I'm going to foster a space where every voice is heard and every story is celebrated. So if you're ready to dive into the heart of a great conversation where every story matters and you're ready to find out what keeps the community moving, you're in the right place. We Gotta Talk is more than a podcast. It's a journey into the soul of our world. Let's get talking. And today I get to welcome none other than Coach V, one of my biggest mentors, one of the most important people that I've met. It's crazy. We've only known each other for about a year. But Coach V is the founder, the healer, the creator of ODAAP, Open Door Abuse and Awareness Prevention, here in Philadelphia, soon to be here in the world. She's going to be making big moves. Coach V uses the sport of football to change lives. And I'm not going to say much more than that because I want her to be able to tell her own story. So Coach V, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
I appreciate you putting yourself out here and coming on this episode. I really, really am excited for this conversation. Isn't it crazy that this has only been a relationship that we've had for a year?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a year. It seems longer, much longer.
It really was. We had our first conversation the week before the Super Bowl. I remember that because I was rushing out the door. I was on the phone with you, Coach Mars, and Coach Link. And at the same time that I was on the phone with y'all, I was trying to hurry up and pack my bag because I was flying out to Arizona. I'm packing my bag to make the flight to the airport, and I was scrambling. I was rushing. I've been telling you, I was nervous because that was kind of the application process. Like that was the interview call to see if our football team was going to be a part of ODAAP. And I didn't want to blow it, but I also had to get to that flight. So
yeah,
it was a lot going on, but here we are a year later. Really, really, really impactful 1 year so far. Yeah. Looking forward to what comes next.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, were you aware that I was all flustered on that first phone call?
No. And I didn't, I may have remembered a little that you were going somewhere, but no, I wasn't aware of it. You was calm, cool, and collected.
Awesome. That's good to know. That's good to know that I made a decent first impression.
You did.
I want you to have a chance to kind of go ahead and tell the listeners about yourself and about ODAAP.
Okay. As Jordan said, my name is Coach V, was Valencia Peterson, but Coach V is what most people know me as, and I am the founder of Open Door Abuse Awareness Prevention. We open the door to bring awareness to what abuse is in order to prevent it. And we do it through many different platforms and mediums. And Jordan happens to be in the medium of sports for us because he's a football coach. So we specialize, honestly, in using that medium for violence prevention. And we basically, deal with all types of violence, all facets of violence, sexual assault, domestic violence, gun violence, anything in the area of harm, we're going to be addressing in a prevention way with the young people that we work with, not just the young people, but the coaches that we work with too. Ironically, you hear Jordan say about he was being interviewed, if you will, to be a part of ODAAP. That must have sounded really interesting, right? But the work that we do is so in-depth and it's so impactful that we can't just do it with anyone, any team, any coach. You have to be brought into the philosophy of where we're heading, what we're trying to do in order for the impact to be what we want it to be. So yeah, we do a little interview process. I don't think we intimidate them too much.
No, it was very welcoming, and the way that you framed it and what you were telling us we were going to get out of the program and being a part of ODAAP and being in the family, it was exactly what we needed. It was exactly what we needed. Our team, we were new. We had been coaching for 2 years. I had only coached football for 2 years. We have a small
Mhm.
staff. We started during COVID. I didn't know the kids. I didn't know Coach Mars. I didn't know anybody at the school. I was just a dude who lived in a neighborhood who loved
Yeah,
football.
jumping in there.
Exactly. And
Thank God
first
for
year
people
was
like you.
crazy. I'm
Thank
telling
God for
you,
people like you. Thank
that
God.
first year almost drove me away. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. We had, man,
Yeah.
we had everything thrown at us that first year. But I like to say that that first year we were just a couple of kids and some guys playing football in the park. The second year we were all together. The
Hmm.
performance didn't go much better, but we at least became a team. I think last year
Yeah.
we became a decent team. And now, ODAP was a huge part of that jump from team to decency. And I'm
Mm.
excited to kind of see where we go next. Um,
Right. Right.
so my first question though for you is, why do you think that I asked you to come on the show?
Well, I know that the impact in the last year that we have had in the relationship that we've built has been impactful for you. I know in particular some of the stuff that we've done in regards to trauma
Hmm.
has been not even life changing, but just help develop even now the young man that you are and where you're headed, which is an amazing thing. And I'm very proud of you. But I think that you invited me on not only because of the impact that we had on you as an organization, but also the impact that you received being a coach, not just the players,
Hmm.
because originally we're coming to work on your team, right? But little did you know, right, that you'd be worked on too,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? You brought me on because you saw something that really appealed to you about yourself and others that you feel that others could really benefit from. And not to mention, we've just become good friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a
And you're a part
cherished
of the
friendship.
ODAP family. We're part of the ODAP family.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's right. It's more than just, a collaboration. It's really a partnership. It's a family.
Right.
Um,
That's most
and it's a
definitely.
family I'm proud to be a part of. I think one part that you
Hey.
left out is that I want people to hear you and hear your story, because the impact that you've had
Okay.
on me and the Vaux Cougar Nation, and all the other teams that you worked with, like you have a crazy record. Your record this year was crazy, coach. You had six
It
out of
was.
six make the playoffs. You had
Yep.
you had to have the most wins at any coach in this city. Had to, if you stack up all your teams. Six out of six made the playoffs, and you got a state championship. Come on now, you
Yeah.
did it. Like
Well,
this was a great year.
you know what? I tell you what, let me just put this in concept here. Some of a team that I work with and walk with, and I consider family. I had the privilege of watching them blossom on the sideline as they won the state championship. How about
Yeah,
that? Emotep in particular is a school that I started working with years ago, doing, blue and red brain stuff with them and character building things and challenging them to get into blue, which we'll learn more about on this call. And then just walking with them and the coaches. Again, a lot of our work, even though it's for the kids, the coaches benefit a great deal from what we do.
for
So
sure.
yeah, but it's true. I've been privileged enough to be on the sideline of six great teams here in Philadelphia doing great things.
You want to shout out the six teams? You want to shed some light on who's in
Oh,
the ODAP family?
MLK.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Our family consists right now of MLK, where Malik Jones is the head coach. Kip Paul is the head coach. Fox Rob is the head coach. Penwood Troop is the head coach. George Washington, and then there is the head coach there. And who am I leaving out? It was
You mentioned
Tap,
Imhotep previously.
Fox, Kip, Penwood,
You got them
George
all right.
Washington. Was there somebody?
That was
Is it
six.
five or six? I
Who's
feel like
MLK,
somebody's
Vaux,
missing, but I can't.
GW, Tep, Kit, and Penwood. That's six. You got them all.
Okay, okay.
Nailed it. You got it. You got it. Yeah, it's six great teams. 6 great coaching staffs. And I think that you did a great job of identifying that piece that you're looking for in those early conversations to see if coaches and teams are a fit, because this stuff is intense. It takes you away from some of the time that you have, the limited time that you have with your kids. We have
Yes.
4 days of practice each week. Some weeks we play on Thursday, so we get 3 days of practice those particular
Yeah.
weeks.
This year was crazy with
So
playing.
to give up some of that time to focus on the ODAAP training and the check-ins and the red versus the blue, initially it might seem like, whoa, I can't do that. Like I can't
Yeah.
give up that time. Football practice is all about repetitions. I can't give up the time of repetitions. But you also
Yeah.
have to get
I need
those
my rep
repetitions,
time.
those mental and emotional, those socio-emotional learning type activities too, that trauma healing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we would have made it through this year if we didn't have some of the ODAP training that we had. So can you talk a little bit more
Mm,
about, let's get into the why. Like, why ODAP? Why football? One of the questions that we've discussed is, how do you even do this? How do you teach nonviolence through a violent sport like football? How does that even make sense?
right. Well, one of the things that I think is crucial for folks to understand is that aggression is not bad, right? Aggression's not bad. And it's not bad to be angry. You know, you know, in having something so tangible as aggression and anger being played out on the field, you get the beautiful opportunity to right then and there do a comparison
Mm-hmm.
on how to harness this powerful aggression and shape it the way you want it to be, and not let it shape you. Okay? You don't want aggression to grab you by the whatever and drag you around, We want to be able to
Mm-hmm.
harness, right, our own aggression so that we can turn it on and turn it off when we want to, not that it's driving us to do things unthinkable because we don't have enough discipline or wherewithal to stop ourselves. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
people that play football will tell you someone recommended this sport to me because I was aggressive or I had anger issues. So already you have a group of young men that getting cut into the chase could be a potential shooter,
Mm-hmm.
at least in the eyes of the people who recommended them to the game,
Right.
because the aggression is what's appealing to a coach or an individual who's inviting them into this sport. That same aggression unharnessed can become a weapon of
Mm-hmm.
violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
bringing a kid in and explaining to him, now get this, bringing a kid in and explaining to him that his aggression is a trauma response,
Mm.
and breaking it down to him and helping him to understand why he is the way he is more powerful and more freeing and liberating than anything. And
Exactly.
someone who is living in that aggression, a player says to me, well, I have anger issues. And I was like, who told you that? He said, I don't know. I just been hearing it all my life.
Mm.
And I'm saying to him, you know what? What if I told you you don't have anger issues at all? What you do have is a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
To see that young man's face and the way all of a sudden he looked like, wow, I'm not such a bad person.
Right.
It's like a light bulb goes on. And when a light bulb goes on in the matter, then you can see clearly how to navigate. Being in that situation where you're all caught up in aggression is like being in a dark room. And you're feeling your way around and you're just reacting and responding. There's no, oh, I see, so I respond. There's just instinct, fight,
Exactly.
flight, fear, terror, alert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's just instinct. But when you turn the light on,
Yeah.
right? Now you see, oh, the chair was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had a trauma response. Something happened that made me bump into the chair. You feel me? It's
Exactly.
not just that you just bumped into the chair. No, something happened
And
to cause
it's not
you.
even that we have to put blame and fault on you bumping into that chair. The
No,
lights were off.
yeah, like you did not know. You
Like,
did
we
not
have to,
understand.
one thing I think we one of my takeaways from all of our conversations and all the trainings and the trauma-informed care certifications that we've done is that we can't look at and name things a disorder when it's the normal response to the chaos around. Like
Exactly.
you can't say, "Oh, why are you so angry?"
Yes.
when it's a response to the behaviors in the world and how it's unfolding either to that
Yeah.
person or around that person. Like if you're sending kids to school hungry, tired, and just got yelled at or hit, you can't expect that kid to have success in a normal system, right? In the system that's just supposed to, hey, you're supposed to be ready to sit in this chair for 70 minutes while we lecture
Hours.
at you. Or,
Yeah. It doesn't work.
like some of the things we
It
talked
doesn't work.
about in our Monday calls. We had those weekly Monday calls with a group of 6 of
Yes.
us,
Yes.
and we got to go through and really dissect the question of what happened to you versus what's wrong with you. And
Right.
thank you for introducing me to that concept, to the book from Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry, and taking the time to really have some discussions. What was the first time that you read that book, and what was your takeaway from that?
Well, it opened my eyes further. It opened my eyes further to the stress response that my brain experiences and why it experiences what it experiences. It opened my eyes to why I experience what I've experienced. I've experienced a lot of trauma
Mm-hmm,
in my own life. And we as people will continue to dissect and come face to face with things that we didn't realize affected us as much as they did until the time it affects us and we're triggered, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, it was part of my trauma healing to read a book like this to understand myself. I tell many people as we speak about these things on this call, I don't know who's going to listen to this, but whoever does, there's things that you might hear on this call that might trigger you. And
mm-hmm,
it's important that you take care of yourself. And these conversations that we have, when people talk about trauma, I just think it's so important to, have people to take care of themselves. Because any given conversation, you can hear something that can trigger you. And you're
mm-hmm.
off in this land of back down memory lane and you're feeling things. So I say that to say that my own trauma had to do with my father murdering my mom and feeling like, how could I get in front of another person's actions such as that? Because I don't think my dad woke up that morning and said, "Oh, you know what? Today I'm going to murder my wife."
Mm-hmm.
People don't know. People not necessarily, and I will say this confidently: people just aren't born that way.
Right.
Things happen to cause that. And the interesting thing, and this is food for thought. I was telling a woman the other day, if a child, an infant, being born and never sees her mother smile because she's wearing a mask, that child will never know how to smile. It'll be a crucial part of that child's brain development being stunted
Mm-hmm,
just because it cannot see a mother smile. There are many crucial things that happen to children at a very, 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 very young age that form who they are as adults. At a very young age, as an infant is developing, it is so important that it sees its mother's smile. All kinds of beautiful connections are happening there. But if certain things in the brain are not awakened, and I'm thinking things like empathy,
mm-hmm.
things like response, a child never cries because it's just determined to wreck your life. They need something.
Right.
And again, no one's born, I'm going to be a murderer. No, no, no. Something happens or doesn't
Absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely. Exactly. It could be that other piece too. It could be something that's not happening. You mentioned
Right.
the smile, and you think about
Yeah.
the joy on a child's face Like a
Yeah.
kid smiling or a kid laughing, it doesn't even matter if you're just walking down the street and see a baby smile at you in a stroller. Like that's a magical moment. It's so much joy. It's
And guess
so
what?
unfiltered. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and guess what? As soon as they smile, there's chemicals that's released in that kid's mind, their brain, that
Hmm.
just bathes that brain with endorphins and all kinds of beautiful things. Imagine if a brain never experiences that.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
frightening. That's frightening.
Exactly. Now you talk about some pretty heavy concepts, but you have a way of making it sound understandable and relatable. Like we
Mhm.
know at the deeper level that we're talking about the limbic system versus the prefrontal cortex, but and memories being stored in the amygdala and how all the different parts of the brain come together. We talked about, oxytocin, serotonin, all the other endorphins, all the other hormones. Now, we don't get on the football field and sit down our players and break it down at this
Mhm.
level because, they don't need to understand it scientifically. They need to understand how to apply it. Can you talk about the application and how you came up
Yeah.
with such a simple, meaningful, like you've used different tools to illustrate this. One of my favorites is the brain as a sponge. I think that's such a great,
Yeah.
tangible tool that is such an easy, simple demonstration, but everyone can get it. Can you kind of walk through
Yeah.
red versus blue brain and how you came up with that and how you coach it?
Right. Well, I had to come up with something where my young men could grab the concept simply, quickly. And red and blue colors, you can see it with your eyes, you can imagine it, brings life to it. Red and blue, two things, that's it. Red brain is a brain that is full of terror, alert, alarm, all the things that make for that flight, freeze, fight type thing. And the blue brain, the cortex, is where you do your critical thinking that in most teenagers really is not developed. And it basically is still like under construction, and 1 minute it's up, 1 minute it's down. Yes, your teenager is crazy type thing because their brain is in such a state where it's just under construction
Hmm.
constantly. And that's why it's so foolish for us to say that a 14-year-old boy is a man. His
Right.
brain is not even a man yet. His brain is nowhere near that. And so we deal with, I wanted to give my young men that I was working with something simple but powerful that they could sink their teeth in and comprehend. So in speaking about the brain in general, we talk about the fact that it develops from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Up is the cortex.
Hmm.
It is the last part of the brain that's fully developed. So a kid is going through so many different things. Like just like a computer, we need an upgrade.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We get upgraded. Young people every year in their brain, there's another upgrade being done,
Every
another
day.
upgrade being done, another upgrade being done. And so we feel like the with my work in particular, I'm explaining to them why the upgrade needs to happen, right? In very simple terms. Your cortex is not developed yet, but it's on its way. And this is how you can help transition from that red part of your brain, the back part of your brain, all the way to the top part, which is your cortex.
Hmm.
And again, because we're using football, my guys understand more of the emotional side of things. And a lot of times our guys get stuck in the back of their brain where all their feelings and emotions lie. They get stuck there because everything is so right now, right here, right now in your face that they don't have time to think about
No.
anything else.
Mm-mm.
Everything is reactionary. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But by saying to them this simple thing, do you want to be a great player? Yes, I do. Well, let me tell you how you can do it. You got to access that cortex.
Hmm.
They get it. And now
Yeah.
they're still enough to, okay, how to do that. Right? Now we
Hmm.
got them on the hook. They want to know how to get to that cortex. Okay. Now we can start filling their two books playbook with things that transition them from the red to the blue part of the brain where they can be that great player that they want to be.
Right. Because they all
And
want to be.
see, so the parrot is the great player.
Hmm.
So sports in itself is a beautiful platform because a goal is being gone after. And
There's
because
something that
that
you're
goal
working
is
towards.
real to
Yeah.
them, they're going to try to get to that cortex.
Hmm.
I know it sounds simple, but it's powerful.
I think the simplicity is what makes it powerful,
I
because you
agree.
came and you were able to explain it to me in 15 minutes, came and explained it to the players in another 15 minutes. Like, that's one thing I took away from you. Is like, I always wanted to do what I learned to do through ODAAP. And I used to try and do it with these big long speeches or these long exercises. And, kids are kids. They're not paying attention to you for any more than 15 minutes at a shot.
And
You could
listen,
be
if
you
you're
could
a
be dropping
teacher,
the greatest gems. You could be the
yeah,
greatest teacher, the greatest coach.
that,
If you're not getting them reinvigorated every so and so minutes, you're not holding their attention. So to be able to
absolutely not.
take these big concepts and simplify them down, I think that's exactly what makes everything that you're teaching so incredibly powerful. And it has to be, because unfortunately, the schools that you're engaging with are all in areas that need an additional amount of help. We're under
Yeah,
resourced a lot of times,
yes,
hyper
definitely.
indexing on poverty, hyper indexing on systemic injustices, hyper indexing on gun violence. Um,
Grief,
Grief
grief
is a result of
is
all of those
huge.
things,
Yeah,
And one
yeah,
thing that we started to notice is everyone's grieving. So when the whole family's grieving, who's checking on the kids? Because everybody's hurt. And that kid might be
flat out.
grieving for, maybe it's the first time this kid has lost someone, or maybe it's the ninth time that this kid has lost someone. But everyone around them has also had that loss. So
Mhm.
sometimes as coaches, we carry a lot. We carry a lot of
We
extra.
do, we
And
do.
it's so important to be able to refill your cup. So having this group of coaches throughout the city that we're all dealing with different challenges, but similar challenges,
Hmm.
and being able to support and empathize and just understand, unfortunately, sometimes what we're going through, but it's nice to know that you have someone and you're not out there alone. Because
That's
that's,
right.
there's so many times where some of the kids do feel like they're alone,
Yeah.
and that can weigh heavy on the coach that's hearing that over and over again. So to have this community is huge. It's a
And one of
it's
the
it's a
things
godsend.
I tell you, ODAP is a coach's bestest friend.
Absolutely.
They have no idea how good ODAP is for their team and the coach, because most coaches that I know started coaching because they wanted to help kids.
Hmm.
By the time they're knee deep in it, they don't feel like they're doing that anymore. They're burnt out. They felt like they've given 100% and only got 20 back in return.
Yeah.
But when you bring ODAP in there, you can start to see, okay, this is going to work. This is what I want. But you have an extra hand. It's another coach's hand. But
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. It's
It's
not for
definitely not.
everybody.
It is definitely not.
It's not for
Um,
everybody.
it's not. And I think that we got to spend a little bit of time too talking about what's next for ODAP, because there's big things coming. I know
Yeah.
we've been working a little bit more strategically off the field together. Can we talk a little bit
Yes.
about our very, very cool Friday we had when we got to go over to Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, we connected with some people. There were some great organizations.
Yeah.
Temple
Yeah.
University was represented. Drexel was there.
University of Penn.
UPenn,
Yep.
LaSalle, all at
University of
Chow.
Delaware. Yeah. University
Yes,
of Delaware.
yes. It was a great opportunity to connect with a room full of people that want to bring positive change, and that positive change
Right.
is infectious. But that positive change is
It
also
is.
part of why I wanted to have this show, and have this opportunity to have these conversations, because there's so many people that are doing great things, you and I included,
Mm-hmm.
but we also got to see that there's a lot of other people in and around this city with similar missions. You had the
Oh, yeah.
gentleman who helped make the hip hop song about
Oh, that was so
urban farming
cool.
and eating healthy. So that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Did
it
you?
was
Good.
incredible. It was incredible. So many people doing important work that's
It
going to have a
was.
great impact on the community. You want to talk a little bit about your experience at CDRD?
Yeah, well, first of all, just on full transparency, I felt like I went in there. I felt like I went in there as an elementary school kid, trying to present my thing, if you will, with sponges and brains and food dye coloring and all that stuff.
Well,
But
it's
the
what you
poster
used to
would not
explain to
use
the kids.
words.
It's what you
Yeah,
used to explain
well,
to the kids, and you kept it simple.
yeah, I did. I did. I really went in there just like I would go in there with my kids. And on one hand, I felt like, oh gosh. But at the same time, I realized sometimes less is best.
Hmm.
And people learn differently. And it is what it is. And I felt like we had a pretty strong presentation. And I was
Absolutely.
surprised to hear that there's research money out here that cannot be given out because they don't have people that produce things for research. That's something credible that they can
Hmm.
sink their teeth into for research. And I just thought that in itself was a very interesting thing that so many people there, these big, these colleges and these schools and these hospitals are looking to do research and give funds for this research to the communities that are
Hmm.
doing this amazing work in the city, which is a wonderful partnership, right?
Yeah.
You got the community in the trenches and these big organizations and hospitals trying to connect to see what works and what doesn't. And they're at the same time benefiting the organizations that they're sewing
Exactly.
into. They get the knowledge of the research and the organization gets funded. And
Hmm.
I think that was just an amazing thing. More things like that ought to happen, I
Absolutely.
think.
I think that's something that could
And I was
be
really glad to be
scaled
there. I
and
thought it was who, huh?
I think that's something that could be scaled and repeated other places, which, I'm
I
excited about
agree.
the propensity to have an impact on this. Like you said, there's the community side, right? There's the people that are here in the streets with the kids
In the
doing
trenches.
things, right? Right
Yes.
here, actively day to day doing it, but you're bringing in the money, you're bringing in the systems and the support and the resources to give those people. Because
Right.
a lot of times, like, man, me and Robbie had to work our butts off to raise $4,200 just to get a blocking sled to make sure the kids know how to block and tackle safely. Like that was a 1 year long mission, not even a project. We were on a mission to get that forty two
Yes,
hundred
just to raise
dollars
that money
and it's nice to know that there's going to be some connections and some sustainable pathways.
with the higher ups, if you will.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
being able to navigate
Yeah.
those spaces is huge. um I was very happy. I was very proud of what ODAAP presented, what my company, It's All Connected Coaching and
Yes.
Consulting, was able to present. It was we
Yes.
had
It's
that we
like a
had
hand
that
in the
tight little
glove, right?
hallway. We had that tight little hallway jumping. We were just passing them back and forth. Oh, you want to check out ODAP over here? Pop over here. It's all connected. Yeah, we were running. We were running things. It was great.
This
It was
lady
great.
said to me, I was trying to get over to your thing, but it was so many people over there. I was like, oh,
Well,
here
you
was
gotta get a
what I
private.
thought was my elementary thing,
No, it was
drawing
it was
such a
eye
big
catching.
crowd.
It was eye catching, and we were we both have big personalities, so
Right.
we're gonna hold people's attention. So I was in such a good mood leaving there because again,
Hmm.
you had that room full of energy, you had that room full of excitement, and it was people that all want to make a positive impact. And
Yes.
I talked a lot about the importance of reducing poverty in order to impact the amount of gun violence. So I'm a firm believer that,
Right.
you take money, you take resources, you take food, you take access to things that you need to stay alive out of a community, or you make it hard for people to reach it. It makes it
Yes.
into a war zone. Like you turn it into
That's
an
right. It
an
does.
area where people are, like, to use your metaphor, you're back in the dark. You don't have that light to know
Yeah.
where you're going. Anything is going to set you off. Anything is going to
No.
trip you up. And it becomes
Hmm.
a survival mode. So you have to have sustainable pathways to success, sustainable, scalable, repeatable pathways to success. And without those, you will continue to have violence. Um, and for me, I think it's pretty clear cut. Like, there's ways to do it. And I had an opportunity to present some of those ways, and we'll be able to build on some of those ways. So I'm excited for that. But right after that great day at CHOP and with all those resources, that positivity, I drive home and see cop cars out front because there was a
Mm,
shooting right across the street, middle of the day, like 12 noon on a Friday.
mm.
Like it's beautiful day out. It's sunny. People come in and grab coffee. People walking to and from, walking their dogs. Kids were out. And I'll share it with you. I'll send it to you. But it's crazy. I'm holding this big 3 foot by 4 foot poster that's all about preventing gun violence. And right behind me, as I'm getting out my car, the scene of gun violence. Like it's such a direct need. My zip code where I coach football is one of the most dangerous places for a 14 to 18-year-old to be because there's not things for them to do after school. You have to have things for kids. Idle time is not like you don't want to have a city full of 14, 18-year-olds without anything to do positively. Let's get these kids into programs like ODAAP. Let's get these kids into things like Give and Go Athletics. Let's get these kids into all
Give and
these things
go.
that are
Shout out.
happening around the city and empower these people. Like there's people who want to do things, and there's kids who want, like, all these kids want is an opportunity to be seen, be
Hmm.
heard,
Yep.
and do something they want to do with a group of friends. So we need more spaces to do that. We need more places to do that. Need more people who want to be a part of that. So that's my call to action for everybody: is just find a way to get active, get involved. There's work to be done, so let's get to work on doing it.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Shout out to Give and Go Athletics and so many other ones, No More, and so many others in the city doing a great job with doing what they can, Level Up Philly.
Hmm.
So many great organizations are out here doing such great work.
There's
And,
a bunch.
we'd be remiss not to give them the shout out that they deserve.
Hmm.
Just want to say
Hmm.
that. They deserve
Yeah.
a great shout out.
It's an exciting time in Philly for real. Like
It is
the
actually.
gun
It
violence is
really is.
coming down. The economy looks like
It is.
it's scaling up. We got I think we have a dynamite mayor. We were at her inauguration,
Yeah.
and man, she brought Rakim out. She had support from the president. She had support from the Root. She had support from Governor Wolf. She has a good team in front of her, and she's already trying to reach out and engage the city, giving people opportunities to join her team and asking for feedback. And she's from Philly. She's from
She
Uptown,
understands Philly.
understands the city, and
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think that she has great people on her staff, great people excited. So what are you excited about with the city of Philly?
I'm excited for, again, I think we have a great mayor right
Hmm.
now. And I'm hoping and even praying that, things will go according to some of the vision that she's laid out. Um, I'm excited that there's movement towards new fields.
Hmm.
And also that, hopefully coaches trainings can happen. I'm excited to work with coaches in
Yeah,
training them trauma coaching. I'm excited about that.
that's going to be great. I think the impact, I mean, there's research, there's a Psychology Today study that I just read a couple weeks back about the impact that coaches can have in conjunction
Oh,
with other professionals, other practitioners, but the impact
yes,
a coach can have it's unmatched. Like I'm sure anyone
unmatched,
who's listening
unmatched.
can think about a coach they had at some point from kindergarten up through college
That's
that
right.
impacted their life. And I think everybody should have a coach even into adulthood. Like go find a coach. If you're working on something, find somebody
Yes.
who did it before you and is working at it and has expertise that you just don't have. You'll learn so much more, so much faster. I think that
So
there's only
much.
two ways we learn. We learn through our lived experience or we learn from someone else's lived experience. That's any book you've read, any podcast you've listened to. You're learning from someone else's story. So you either learn it yourself or learn it from someone else and learn from as many other people as you can. So let's get more
As you
coaches out
can.
there, more coaches trained and trauma informed, and see how much of an impact we can really make. Coach, my next question, and we're gonna wrap it up. I know you got a busy day, you got to get back, and I've been so appreciative and of your time, and I want to continue to respect it. Um, but is uh, what is something you think that people need to talk more about to make this world better or to make a positive impact? What do we got to talk about?
Mm. It probably sounds so cliche, but I think something that we need to talk about is the power of kindness.
Mm,
I think that, we talk about passing things forward, just like the person who drives through the Chick-fil-A and
hmm
come up to the window and their meal is paid. Like, these are the small things that change people's lives. And that person who are scraping the monies that comes up to the window and realizes, oh gosh, I can keep this little bit of money because I
hmm
needed it for something else anyhow, but I was hungry. Like, one of the things I really think we need to start talking about is how it doesn't take much to be kind,
That's
but it
facts.
has a powerful impact. It
It can
has a
have a huge
powerful
impact.
impact. And, issuing a soft, gentle challenge to a group of people in a room that are sitting around who are working in the same company, and we're meeting together as in a conference room. And the last thing we say to the people that we're working with them for, hey, listen, today, one of the things I want us to really concentrate on is how to be kind to each other. It seems like a small thing, but it's really, really, really important.
And it happens
Not,
so
not to
infrequently.
mention it breaks for a better work environment,
Oh my
but
goodness. So easy.
it's
That's
so
that's
easy
that's free
to
game
be
to any
kind.
business, any organization. Just be kind.
And I'll tell you, if anything I leave you with, it's going to be the mantra of my girls. I have a girls group called ICU, which stands for Intentionally Caring and United. Our mantra is we are trendsetters, holding ourselves to a high standard of kindness.
Mm,
Individuals who are beautiful, bold, and fierce leaders. So that's the mantra that my girls recite every time we're together. And the high standard is kindness. So I think we need to talk about it. What is kindness? How can we be more kind to one another? And I think we need to start having conversations around what does it look like to be kind?
I think that's a beautiful,
Simple
beautiful
but
sentiment.
powerful.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
you keep it simple, but you make an impact.
I keep it simple.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else that you want to share? Anything else you want to let people know about before we go ahead and close this episode down?
I want to thank all of the nonprofits and the organizations in Philadelphia doing great work. I see you. I see you. I want to thank you. You're doing great things. I know funding might be tough. I know also that whether you have it or not, you still gonna get out here and do your thing. And I know I'm talking to somebody right now. And the thing is, I want you to know your labor is not in vain. Even for the 1, 5, 6, 10, 15 kids that you with. Like, it's enough almost. But I'm hoping that you get the funds that you need, the support that you need. But I just want to say, I see you. And I just want to just shout you all out. You're doing great things. You're doing great things. And if ever I get to see you and we're on the street and we're in the same audience together, make sure you come over and say hello.
Absolutely. You see her face, you recognize the
Yeah,
glasses, you're going to see the smile
that's
out and about. So definitely stop
Coach
Coach
V.
V. Let her know that you appreciate her, that you listened to the episode. You can follow her on Instagram, ODAAP, on IG. Anywhere else they can follow you?
Well, we're on Facebook as Open Door Abuse Awareness Prevention, the full name. But then on Instagram, we're like ODAAP Incorporated. So it's ODAAP INC. And we're that on Instagram as well as X now / Twitter.
All right.
So that's where, and
Cool.
we have our own YouTube page, ODAAP.
All right. Big things coming for ODAP. I'm so excited for you, Coach V. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Listeners, like, subscribe, comment, send in any questions, comments, concerns you've got. Thank you for your time and your attention. That's it for us today. Peace.
Peace, people.